Hey, welcome to It's Show Business. I'm going to look at the camera. Today we have an amazing guest, Nick Simmons. He's a comedian and he works out. He's buff. He must know something about it because you'll see he's going to be on soon. And I'm excited to talk to him about comedy. He moved here from New York during the pandemic, which was an interesting time. And that's when I met him. He's very fun, very funny, good dude. And I can't wait to ask him all my workout questions because I've been going hard working out, posting on my Instagram stories about my fitness and the things I'm cooking, which is losing me followers. Maybe, I think. I don't know. I don't know if people like food pics. I'm still going to do them when I cook, okay? That's it. No restaurant food pics, only ones I cook. So if you haven't already, subscribe on YouTube. I think it's in the corner, this corner. And then 5-star review on Apple. That's all you need to do to support us. You know, we do have a Patreon if you want, but we really just want you to subscribe. So extra fans, Patreon. Otherwise, just listen for this great episode with Nick Simmons. Well, Nick Simmons, thanks for doing the podcast.
Thanks for having me, bro.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like, to me, you're a bit of a mystery because you came here during the pandemic, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you came here. I didn't know who you were, but I see you around at like the few park shows that would kind of pop up. Mm-hmm. And you're always very funny.
Oh, thank you.
And you just kind of came out of nowhere, like killing.
You know what it was? That's weird hearing my own voice. Me and my girl already had it planned. We were going to move out here.
Yeah.
And we were ready to move out here April of 2020.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we already had the place in Queens sold. We were already ready to go. And then everything happened. And we're like, well, everything's already sold. We might as well just go.
Yeah, you're not going to move back.
No. So
you had the place sold?
Yeah, like we found a new tenant for the apartment we were in because we were ready to just go.
Yeah. And what's it like owning a place in New York? That's like the dream, right?
Well, it wasn't that we owned it. We were just the tenants that.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were leaving at a certain time and we had to find someone to replace us. So we already had someone take over our apartment.
Right.
So we're like, well, what are we going to do? Sit on the streets? So.
Right. Where in Queens?
Astoria.
I love Astoria.
I know.
I was, you know, Katie Boyle?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's a good friend of mine, and we hung out in Astoria, and I did her show at QED.
I used to love having QED right around the corner for me.
QED, it was so fun.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was awesome. A lot of people copying Mark Normand.
Yes.
But other than that,
yes.
It was very funny.
The jacket, the voice, everything.
Everything.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wow, is this like, because you don't see that so much in LA.
No.
But in New York, it was like a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess, you know, he is one of the biggest comics.
Yeah, I feel like he's not as well known out here yet. I mean, he's starting to, but.
Yeah, I guess that if you're a young guy and you see him in the scene, like killing.
Yeah, he's
like,
the guy.
I'll just do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that only lasts so long.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like every generation has someone that they copy.
Yeah.
There's like, who else is someone that people copy a lot? They copy, I mean, I know plenty of Kevin Hart's. I know a lot of Mark Normand's.
A lot of John Mulaney's.
John Mulaney's, yep.
Yeah.
Elijah Schlesinger's.
Yeah. I haven't seen as many of those, surprisingly.
I see it on the tone and the hand on the leg.
Oh, really? I was
always
always surprised that I've never seen anyone copy her for
out
that
here.
stuff.
I see a lot of the hand on the leg, lean into the crowd.
Oh, maybe because you're like you're outside.
Yeah, because I've never seen
clearly.
that before. People are always leaning into the crowd, and I'm like, what is this?
Yeah. Well, I guess like, you know, you imitate your idols when you start and you're trying to figure yourself out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's common.
Did you have someone who was
Copying?
like, not copy, but like who you like that's who I kind of emulate at the beginning?
I don't know if I did, but I mean, there's definitely comedians I looked up to, like obviously like Seinfeld and like Chris Rock, Eddie Murphy. But I don't think I am doing them. I mean, luckily, if anyone comes up to me and tells me I'm doing somebody, please let me know. But like, I don't.
What's
feel
funny
like
is Mark didn't know that people were doing them for the longest time. He just found out about it.
Oh,
like
really?
One of my friends brought it up to him, and he's like, "I thought people were making fun of me."
That's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
How about you? Anyone?
I wouldn't say I copied, but I loved Jim Norton. He was my favorite even before comedy. So like he was someone who like that style where it was like when I first started, I was really dirty. Like you would never tell now, but I was like really dirty back then because like that's how Jim Norton was. I was like, that's what I find funny.
And there's other guys more recently that I've gotten into, like TJ Miller just did our show, and I was like, oh, he's funny. So naturally funny. I was shocked.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not shocked that I didn't think he was gonna be funny, but I was just like, oh, like some people just have like an it factor.
Absolutely.
And he has it, like whatever Hollywood you call it, like he's on stage, you're like, oh, this is gonna go well, no matter what. And he was great.
Yeah, I've done a couple shows with him. He's always funny.
Yeah,
always on.
And also just other guy like Kumail Nanjiani is really funny.
He's jacked now too.
Yeah. I mean, that must be interesting for like, yes, another one of us.
He's coming to my lane.
Oh, no. That's your place, the Jack comedian.
I'm like, get off the TRT. That's my territory.
Were you jacked first or comic first?
Jacked first.
Okay.
Yeah, I was way bigger when I first started comedy. Like 30, 40 pounds heavier, like bigger.
What do you weigh right now?
205, but I was like 235, 240 when I first started.
Wow. So you're 205 and you're how tall?
5'8".
So 5'8". So you're already kind of like jacked.
Yeah, but I was way bigger. Yeah.
Were you doing competitive bodybuilding?
No, it's just all my friends are competitors, and some of them are like literally like Mr. Olympia level. So I'd be working out with them. That was the funny thing. I'd go to the gym with them. I'd feel small compared to them, but then I'd go into do comedy. I'm like, oh shit, I'm a monster compared to everybody.
It is kind of like a slippery slope because I've gotten into it more and more, and then you start like looking at people and looking at their bodies, and then you're eating and you're watching, and it gets addictive. Like I'm already addicted. I don't know if you can tell from my stories.
I've been watching. Yeah,
I'm doing the MyFitnessPal. I'm watching what I eat.
I see that.
And I took something from your great pod, which I watched a couple episodes.
Oh, nice.
When you were talking sets and reps. Follow it.
Yeah.
And you're talking about, hey, like how you add 200 calories. Like if you're eating or like add more if you're losing weight too fast, or take away 200 if you're gaining too fast.
Exactly.
And so that's what I did. I was at 200 and I was kind of like maintaining / losing. So I added 200 and now I'm at 24.
Oh, great.
I'm going to kind of see like.
It's probably so much easier, right?
It's a good thought process, because otherwise you're like, how do I know? And like you do these calorie things online and
they're not accurate.
They don't seem accurate, and they had a lot of variability.
Not to be nerdy for a second, but
no, go nerd. I'll go all the way nerdy on this as much as you want.
So those calculators are good to find where to start. Yeah. But it's not gonna be accurate. So like you'll do the calculator. If like you don't like, you could do the math on your own, it's a lot better. But you do the calculator. You get your number and you see how it works for like 2 weeks. If it's not losing, drop 200 or put onto like, depending on what you're trying to do. So they're like accurately inaccurate.
Yeah, it's like a ballpark range. Yeah. But I feel like we all know the ballpark range. It's somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000.
Surprisingly,
right?
A lot of people don't.
They just have no idea?
No.
Interesting.
Some people ask me, like, they'll either be way under or way over. But also, so many people, they don't use stuff like MyFitnessPal.
I love MyFitness. I'm like, best. I've almost subscribed just because I use it so much.
I do. Yeah, I pay for it. Yeah.
You pay for it just because you love it?
Just I want to see what every macro I'm taking in.
Okay.
But like so many people, before they start doing that, they're like, yeah, I eat like 2,200 calories. But then they start tracking, they're like, oh, I've been eating like over 3,000 calories a day.
It's so you go to one restaurant and like it's kind of done.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's why I've just learned how to just make super high volume, low calorie meals. Just because I have such a huge appetite that I need to be eating low calorie dense foods all day.
Do you go like and meal prep for the whole day?
Nah, I actually enjoy the process of cooking every day. Because then I can measure everything I'm eating.
Yeah, it's so hard. Like I always think like I'll just add this one to MyFitnessPal later. Then the whole day is gone. And I'm like, I have no idea what's up.
When I used to work like a day job, I used to always meal prep. But now that I'm home all the time, I'm like, I'll keep track of everything. Sometimes I used to put in like for the whole day, and I wouldn't even eat all that. Yeah. So then I'm like, oh, now I'm trying to do math to figure out what I'm actually eating.
Yeah. I was watching a couple guys on YouTube. They were like making all their meals for the day in like 10 minutes, and they're like rice and then this and then that, and they're doing it, and then it's like boom, boom. They're putting in little boxes. It's like it's kind of intense.
Yes. Plus the way I eat, it's like I'm eating food that no one you would expect you to eat on a diet. So like I'm not doing the rice and stuff like that. So that's easier if you're doing like meal prep and you just put in MyFitnessPal rice for the day and chicken. But the foods I eat are like I make it fun.
What are you eating?
Like today, I had anabolic French toast for breakfast.
Anabolic French toast?
Yeah. It's from
what does anabolic mean? And
so it's basically muscle inducing. You know what I mean? So it's high protein French toast. So easiest way to do it is you just get a bowl, put in egg whites, cinnamon, vanilla extract, and you just dip the bread both sides and put it in the pan.
So that's it. It's just French toast with more
instead
protein?
Of using egg white. Yeah, egg white instead of egg yolk because it's a lot less calories.
Right. It is amazing. That was the biggest shock to me is when I put like 4 egg whites in, sometimes my breakfast, I'm like, oh wait, my whole breakfast with vegetables, eggs, and everything is like 250 calories.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is why when you're trying to gain a little bit, it's hard if you eat too healthy.
Yeah, like I eat, like my next meal is going to be, I eat loaded nachos usually around the time of the day.
Is that like Quest chips?
No, I get the pop chips from the store. So like the popcorn chips, I get chicken breast. I cook up the chicken breast. I use the taco seasoning on the chicken, a little bit of Frank's Red Hot, pico de gallo, and then I use the 0 fat or reduced fat cheddar cheese on top. And then I got loaded nachos right there.
What do you think of all these like Quest chips that are like protein chips?
They're pretty good.
It seems to be like, I don't find like I need, for me personally, like I don't have a protein. I'm getting to like 228 grams a day pretty easily.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like I need to snack more protein.
No, I'm the same way. I don't even try, and I'm hitting 300 grams of protein a day.
Yeah. Is that with shakes and bars?
I don't do shakes or bars.
Ever?
No.
How come?
I mean, I use the shakes to make, like I made the protein donuts last night.
Yeah.
And I used that.
Amazing.
They were great.
I texted you to bring one, but they're gone.
They were done in 30 seconds. But like I use that for to base the actual bread.
Yeah.
But otherwise, if I'm not using it I make protein ice cream. If I'm not using it for that, then I don't really use the powder.
Is that just because you're done and sick of it, or what's the reason?
I just rather get my calories from food.
That's probably better for you.
It's better, and it's just more filling. Like protein powders and bars are good if you're like on the run. Like if I'm on the road or something, like doing a gig, and like I did a show in Washington, and I Googled healthy restaurants near me, and Panera Bread showed up, and I'm like, okay, I gotta buy some protein stuff.
Yeah.
So for something like that, then I'll do it.
Yeah, I had a protein bar on the way home from the gym today, but it didn't fill me up at all.
No.
And then I basically just had a whole nother meal when I got home.
So it's almost like you wasted calories. Yeah. It's like drinking soda, you know?
It kind of is. Yeah, because I'm surprised that they're not more filling.
They're not filling at all.
You think your brain is like, oh, this is going to be great. You're done. I could probably eat 3 in a row.
Oh, yeah. Like my favorite is the Quest bars. I put them in the microwave for 45 seconds, let them melt to like, it's like gooey. Yeah. It tastes amazing, but it's not filling at all. I could eat like 10 of them. Yeah. You know, and then that would be my calories for the day. What
are you at for calories for the day?
I just started cutting, so I'm down to 2,700.
2,700. Mm-hmm. And is that, you did it through subtracting 200 at a time, or you just kind of, you're probably so into
So the way you figure out is your TDEE, which is your total daily energy expenditure. So that's between your workout, walking, and then your normal human functions. Yeah. So I figured out that I'm burning on average about 3,000 calories a day. So between that and like if I just subtracted 300, because I like to lose slow. I don't like to lose fast at all. Because if you lose too fast, you start losing some muscle at the same time.
I started I was at 193 when I started my fitness journey, like at the height of quarantine. Yeah. Like Maddie Chimber and I kind of started P90X at the same time. And we did that.
How was that, by the way?
It was good.
Yeah.
I did the P90X and I did P90X3. Okay. So I've done the whole thing like 4 times. But I didn't find I was fit and like cardiovascularly in shape, but I wasn't I felt like I was losing muscle on it too. And that could have just been because I didn't have weights at the time and I'm just doing, it's a lot of aerobic-ish and push-ups and stuff, but I very much enjoyed it. But I went from 193 to 158.
Wow.
So I lost and basically I was like super skinny fat. But then I think, I don't know if that was like, looking back, the best way to do that, I probably should have started doing more weights while I was heavier.
Yeah, because what a lot of people don't realize, the more muscle you put on, the higher your metabolism is going. Yeah. Because your body has to keep up with the muscle that's on your body. You weigh more to actually maintain that muscle. You're burning more calories throughout the day.
Yeah, I've noticed that too, because now that I'm putting on more muscle, I'm naturally losing more fat. And like especially around the waist, which is like
That's why you look at those mass monster bodybuilders. They're eating crazy amounts of calories a day, but they have so much muscle on them that their metabolism is crazy.
Yeah, like the Rock's meals.
That's why it's when people are overweight and they say that I have a slow metabolism, that's actually wrong. Because unless you have an actual thyroid problem, what happens is the heavier you weigh, the higher your metabolism is. So those people are actually just out eating their faster metabolism. Usually people, unless you have a real like thyroid issue, it's hard to have a really slow metabolism.
But you have a faster metabolism when you're heavier and more muscular.
Even more, yeah.
But the baseline, everyone kind of has a metabolism that will burn off what their body needs, essentially.
Yep. Yeah. And you burn off the most, people don't realize you burn off more just being a person and just digesting and all that than you actually do from any exercise.
Yeah, like sleeping.
Yeah.
Eating before bed?
I always do.
You always do?
Always do.
So the whole like don't eat before bed?
No. That's like, I don't know where that came from. That's people, it's like, there's a guy on YouTube that said it's like, if they act like you're going to become like a gremlin. Like if you feed it before bed, they're going to multiply. But in reality, your body doesn't know what time of day it is. So if you eat before bed, it's not like it's like, oh, wow, I guess I got to put this in my fat. You know what I mean? It's still going to burn the same amount, and you're burning the most in your sleep anyway.
I think we have very basic brains in terms of like we think cause and effect.
Yeah.
That's why we're like always like targeting where pain is. And like we're so like it has to be here, but it could be somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that's why we love eating to solve problems. It's like eat pill does result. And you're like, well, sometimes it's not so one-to-one like that.
No, like if you eat, like as long as you're in a caloric deficit, it doesn't matter what time of day you eat. Like, cause me personally, I'm never hungry in the morning. So like I eat the French toast because I want to get the protein synthesis in the morning. But in reality, I'm kind of not forcing myself, but I'm like kind of like, oh, this kind of sucks. You know, even though I'm eating something good.
Yeah.
But later on in the day is when my appetite really starts coming. So that's when I save a little more calories for the end of the day. So before bed, I could eat a nice big meal, sleep like a baby, you know?
Do you change at all, like the macros, less carbs at night?
I'm not as worried about macros. I just make sure I get my protein in, and then that's all I really care about. Like I try to keep fat a little lower because the less fat in a meal, the more food volume you could have. So because like people don't realize like 1 teaspoon of olive oil is the same amount of calories as a chicken breast.
Yeah.
So you got to weigh out, all right, am I going to eat this little bit of olive oil? You know, so I just save I actually save a little more fat for the end of the day because it's good for your hormone. Like fat is what regulates your hormones in your body. And I want that to be what I'm having before I go to bed.
Got it. And what about this whole no carb thing?
I love carbs. Yeah. I eat more carbs than I eat protein half the time.
So you can be super fit and cut on while eating carbs.
The only time you should ever restrict carbs is like if you're in doing a bodybuilding competition. Like about a week before the show is when some people do keto because all getting rid of carbs does is getting rid of like glycogen, which is like the actual like it's more water than anything. That's the easy way to explain it. So like people think like they do keto and they lose 10 pounds in the first week. It's water. It's the glycogen inside the muscle. So you're just depleting the water. That's why they look flatter.
Ah, so nothing's really happened.
No.
And then they eat and they pump back up.
Exactly.
Ah, why do you think all these myths like permeate so much?
Because there's so much money to be made off it.
Off the myths?
Yeah.
How so?
Look at how big keto has gotten. Like I go to the grocery store and every company has their own keto this, keto that.
Yeah.
Because it's just a fad that they know because people are always looking for the easiest way and they want like to be like, oh, I know the secret to doing it.
Yeah. They want to shop their way out of the problems.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When if they only realize the actual way to do it is so easy because it's calories in, calories out. It's literally just the laws of thermodynamics. You know, you can't beat the laws of thermodynamics, and people think like that's like proving gravity wrong. You can't prove.
Well, that's why Atkins worked in the 90s ish, right? It was a way of making your calories count go down.
Exactly,
by just restricting.
It's
carbs.
People basically like. There's a lot of coaches out there that'll be like, "Oh, you don't have to count your calories. I'll just give you your macros." But what they're doing with those macros is just they're putting the macros out of way so you're in a calorie deficit.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, I don't do count. No, your coach is doing that for you. And he's making money because you could probably just figure that out yourself if you just knew how to do it.
What about a guy like Warren Buffett who drinks like 6 Coca-Colas a day? Can he balance out his diet?
He can. Yeah. I mean, I drink Coke Zero every day.
Yeah, this is Coke with sugar.
Coke with sugar? Yeah. I mean, you can.
Because that's like 1,000 calories right there of sugar.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably... You know, he should cut it back, especially what is he, like 900 years old, you know?
I think he's 89 or 90.
Yeah, he's so old. And he's taking that much. That's a lot of caffeine also at that age, which is crazy.
Oh, yeah, it is a lot of caffeine.
That's a lot because you're only supposed to have like someone our age should be eating like having 400 milligrams of caffeine a day. So
and 200 in a cup, is that right? Or 50?
I think per Coca-Cola, it's 78.
78. Okay.
So at 90 years old, that's a lot of caffeine to be taking in.
So coffee is how much?
About 100 to 150.
So we should only be having 2 coffees a day?
2, 3.
2 or 3?
Yeah, but some people, I mean, granted, some people have just, like me personally, I've had caffeine overload since I was in college. So like some people are just less resistant to it.
cut it out for a couple weeks. Well, cut it out meaning I had only one a day, and I felt very good.
Did you?
Just having one. Like I had one in the morning, and then when I hit that lull around 11, I just wouldn't go for the second or have decaf, and I felt better. Like my brain was kind of more even during the day.
You think so? Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it just because it improves the amount of neat calories you burn a day, because it's not actually burning calories. It's the same reason why people buy those shitty hydroxy cuts, is because it's just caffeine in reality.
Yeah, I don't know what a hydroxy cut is.
It's like some any pill that they sell in a store doesn't work. You know what I mean? Any fat burn they sell, it's just caffeine. But you will burn fat in somewhat, because when you have extra caffeine, you're moving more, and the more you move throughout the day, even if you're just twitching or just fiddling with stuff, you're burning more neat, like non-exercise active thermogenic calories a day.
Yeah. Did you study for this, or?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're
I went to that's what I went to school for.
Okay, was it nutrition or is it?
I exercise, science, and wellness.
Exercise, science, and wellness.
Yeah.
Interesting. So this is not just a lifestyle. It's like you really know it.
No, like I really wanted to learn it back in school.
Oh wow! And do you train people?
Yeah, well, I do coaching.
Okay. What's the difference between training and coaching?
It's more, coaching is more just like the workout itself, but with coaching, like when I was a trainer at Equinox, I could only just give them, this is your workout, and I'd be with them. But coaching, I'm not with them.
Which Equinox?
It was in New York on
New York, yeah.
Forgot which street it was. 23rd Street.
Okay.
And I'd be in person, but I couldn't give any diet advice. I still am not a registered nutritionist, so I can't give them an actual diet, but I can coach them through dieting.
Is that because it's illegal?
Yeah. You can't be giving an actual diet plan to someone unless you have the certification.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So the way around that is you're not giving it to them. You're just...
No, like I'm telling them how many calories they should be having a day.
Yeah. You know, the actual plan has to come from a nutritionist.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which you probably could be a nutritionist if you paid the fee or something, right?
Yeah, it's just extra schooling.
Extra schooling?
And with comedy, I just don't have time for it.
Yeah. How do you balance the comedy and these other fitness goals?
Luckily,
or you don't. You start a podcast and you combine them.
That's exactly what I did. It's I just do my workout. I get my all that done beginning of the day, and I make sure it's all out of the way by the time I got to do stand up.
How long is your workout?
My actual weight workout is like 35 minutes, and then I just started doing cardio again. Yeah. Which I do right now I'm doing 30 minutes for 4 days a week.
Cause that makes me feel good, because I always see these guys are posting or whatever, like, I'm in the gym for an hour and a half. I'm like, I'm kind of done in 35 minutes. Yeah. Am I doing something wrong?
No, I mean,
like my weight part is done in 35 minutes. And I'm like super focused. I'm not like
some people
distracted.
just love to be in the gym for way longer than they have to be.
Yeah.
Like I used to be in the gym for like 2 hours when I was like 20 years old, 21 years old, because I'd be with my friends. And between each set, we're talking and hanging out, and we're doing like, it's 5 minutes between each set.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, I go in there by myself with a goal. It's like when I go shopping. I know what I want. I'm getting in and getting out.
Yeah. How long do you rest between sets?
About a minute.
Yeah.
Like 2 minutes is the ideal, but I'm like, I'm just in such a rush to get it over with.
Yeah. I always have a hard time waiting 2 minutes.
Yeah. Because then it's great, because if you actually are doing the 2 minutes, you're giving your body the rest that it needs. So you will have a better set the next set. But I'm more like, I need to be in, I got to be out.
Yeah, I'm kind of like excited to be there, because it's like my alone time. So I'm like, I just want to keep going.
Exactly.
And, the waiting part. Or I'm also doing a lot of, I kind of alternate between like one day I do drop sets, and the other day I do like a hit, like kind of like one rep of each exercise, and kind of move through.
Okay.
So that's just I've kind of pieced together my own program through
whatever works the best for you.
Different people. I've had like trainers or people at the gym tell me stuff, and then just through friends and also online. So probably like the worst way to do it, but it is actually working. So
whatever works. That's why people are always like, what's the best? I'm like, I don't know. There really is no best. Whatever works the best for your body.
Yeah. And I've been in and out of the gym unfocused. In an unfocused manner for 20 years. So like, I feel like the biggest thing that was lacking for me was the focus. So now that I'm focused, I can kind of like I feel like I know what I need to do.
Yeah.
I'm just doing it.
Yeah. And it's also like,
it's kind of life. I feel like we all know what we need 100%. To do, but who's going to do it?
I also look at it like this. If you figure out what you actually enjoy doing, it's better than anything else. Yeah. If you could find something that makes you want to actually go there, because you could know what you're doing and not want to be there and just half-ass every workout, which is it's not good. Because at some point you can be like, I don't feel like going today. But if you actually enjoy the workouts you're doing, the diet you're doing, it's so easy to stay on track.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't want to break the momentum. Like I have a little book that I write stuff in. It's over there. And before I go, I'm like, all right, so I'm kind of bored with these chest exercises. I'm going to do these ones today.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to do those. And I write out like 7.
Mm-hmm.
But I know how many reps I'm going to do of each.
And it shocks your muscles to not be in the same pattern all the time.
Exactly.
Because after a while, your body starts to just get used to what you're doing.
Yeah, totally. And like I started using the cable machine, which I had never really used before because I was feeling like some of the dumbbell bench presses I was doing like a 30-degree incline. It stopped kind of, I don't know if I'm using the right word, but activating or
like
just
plateau.
It just kind of felt like I wasn't really, and I was going up in weight and I was kind of like hurting my joint.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, it doesn't seem right. Let me try different exercises.
Yeah, you could try different angles, different like cables, like anything like that is perfect.
Yeah. Do you feel that being buff in comedy is a pro or a con?
For the first 10 seconds, con, and then after that, I'd say it's people forget about it.
Con because they're looking at you.
Like,
your awesome muscles.
Their first introduction to looking at me like, what the fuck is that? You know, like I've always been like that, like. Because especially with couples in the crowd, there's always been like when I was younger, like there's like guys in the crowd who get a little like pull their girlfriend a little closer. I'm like,
oh really?
Yeah. And it's
like you see them go like this.
Yeah, and I'm like, relax, relax. You know.
Do you address it?
I used to, but now at this point, I'm just like, I have openers to just break the ice real fast that I could just because I just want to tell my jokes at this point.
Yeah.
Because I used to do a lot of crowd work with that at the beginning. Then I'm like, I just wasted 3 minutes of my 8-minute set. You know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I have just quick jokes that I just get people to just be on board with. I get it. I look like this, you know?
Yeah, you dress what's everyone's thinking and then you move on.
Yep.
Yeah, which is pretty common no matter what you look like, or especially if you have something that draws attention to your looks.
Exactly.
Usually it has to be addressed or doesn't, or you just kind of pretend.
When I first started, I just didn't address it at all. And then someone at one point was like, you have to address this because by the time you get off stage, they're like, he still hasn't addressed anything that we've been staring at this whole time.
Do you think maybe at one day there'll be muscle equality and you won't have to address it?
No.
Because like at some point, like when I've heard different minorities talk, and I've even felt this, where it's like, oh, you should address like who you are and what you are so that people can move on to the jokes, right?
Yeah.
But at some point, people stopped doing that. Comedy became a bit more multicultural, multi-ethnic, and people kind of just went up there and being funny. So one day you'll be free too.
I hope
you
so.
Can
I would
not
love
address
that.
it.
But I feel like the in shape is the least accepted body type for sure.
In shape is the least accepted
like
body?
You could shit on someone that's in shape or skinny way more than any other body type.
Yeah, because it's like it's punching up and not down.
Yeah, they think it's punching up, but in reality, we're just as crazy as everybody else.
Oh, that's like yeah.
Like if you meet some of the people that are like at the top level, there's body dysmorphia like crazy.
Yeah.
You know, just as much as someone who's overweight, just as much as someone who's underweight, you know?
And what does that mean exactly, body dysmorphia?
So like when I see myself in the mirror, I don't see myself the same way as someone else would. You know, like I don't see a muscular, like I just see regular. Like I think I just look regular when I look in the mirror.
Okay. So you don't see like, and is that true for you? You just look, so you don't think you look like buff?
No, not to me. When I'm just looking in the mirror myself, no.
Always, or like just it's like it kind of disappears as you look at yourself?
No, I mean I'll notice it if someone's smaller than me in the mirror next to me, but I'm not. When
you should
I'm
hire
at home
a
by
guy.
myself.
He just rolls around. Your mirror should have a cutout of a thin
just
dude.
a smaller guy.
Yeah, right.
That would be great. That's actually that's a Shark Tank idea right there.
I think we just solved body dysmorphia.
Yes, you did. Taking that Shark Tank.
Let's do it.
For sure. But yeah, like bodybuilders were like, there's literally a gym called Planet Fitness. I have a whole joke about it where they're like, there's a picture that looks like me with a cross to it, like I'm not allowed in, like we're cigarettes.
Is it really?
Yeah. Like all the rules, they don't want any bodybuilders in there. Like, could you imagine there would be no other establishment that would be like, this body is not allowed inside this establishment. And if it does, you have better follow these rules or we're going to set an alarm off on you.
Is that because they're like the weight droppers and
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah. I think that kind of went away a little bit. I see like when I see people in the gym now, even compared to 7 years ago, that it's a lot less meatheady. Even the guys that are buff, they're like scientists, kind of like you. They know so much.
A lot of jack dudes got really smart.
Yeah, they got smart, and they're lifting lighter weights. It used to be just me,
and I'm like, oh shit, now everybody's getting like this.
Everyone's just taking your lane.
Yeah, it's because like a lot of people are following some of the big guys. Like there's Derek from More Plates, More Dates on YouTube, and he's like an actual, I think he's a chemist, and he actually gives like in-depth like breakdown scientifically and everything. And so many people follow people like that now that it's like, oh, if you actually learn the science behind this, you could actually get further than just being a meathead and just throwing weights around.
Yeah, because but it is interesting. Like I watched a bit of Arnold's documentary from the 70s, and it felt like he was scientific about it in his own way too. So like, and he was the highest level bodybuilder of the time, maybe of ever, I don't know.
Yeah.
And so it's like the blueprint was there to be scientific or at least focused.
Yeah. I also think that more people were, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's just the people I've hung out with, more people were scientific, like actual bodybuilders than what you saw in movies. Because just in movies, you just see the meathead is this big, dumb jock who's stupid and in the gym. And it's like most of us actually have a pretty good understanding of like exogenous hormones, the laws of thermodynamics, everything like that, where you would never expect just because you just saw in movies. Bodybuilders are just like, duh, you know?
Yeah. Even do you see that Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds?
No. Okay. Well, I heard it was good, though. It
was very good. And there's a scene where he fights the buff dude of himself.
Oh, yeah?
And it's like in a video game. And like he's like cycling through the buff guy's options. It's like weights, weigh. It's like all his options are all like the typical stuff. And it's funny. I think it is because you are allowed to make fun of it, so to speak.
It's the one that's allowed to be.
Yeah. Do you think it'll ever change?
No, I don't think so. No, because people almost see buff as like privileged. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess it is in a way because you have to have the time and the money to do it. But
yeah, but I mean,
for the focus,
most people who are into bodybuilding don't have money. That's why if you meet a lot of pro bodybuilders, broke.
That's what was interesting in the Arnold doc too, and I wasn't sure if it was the same. It reminded me of comedy because he was like, oh, there was no money in bodybuilding.
Nothing.
He's like, I had a day job in construction. I'd buy my own supplements and I had to work. And I was just like for the love of it. And kind of comedy is like that too.
It's very similar. Like you're by yourself. It's all on you. And at the beginning, and for most people, you never really make that big of a profit off it. Yeah. And then it puts you in the hole in reality.
In life?
Yeah.
I do feel that like, well, do you think, because comedy, you can quickly be like, all right, maybe I'm not going to be this kind of comedian who tours and stuff, but I'll be a writer. And you can kind of, if you're good and you have the focus and the aptitude, you kind of get, or become, you're actually, I'm an actor. And you kind of get pulled into different things.
There was never that
with bodybuilding.
It's starting to now, because now because
you can be a YouTuber, right?
Yes,
or you like
the internet changed it so much.
Yeah.
Because before that, you could either just be a bodybuilder, be a coach or a trainer. And that's really all the other options you had.
Because some of the people I follow, like they're not competitive bodybuilders, I guess, which makes me wonder if I should be listening to them at all. But they're just have a YouTube channel and they're like about fitness.
It's funny what you said just about should I be following them at all. A lot of them. So what people don't realize, most pro bodybuilders aren't as knowledgeable as a lot of the coaches are. Their coaches, like my friend coaches pro bodybuilders for the highest level. Is his physique the best? Not the best, but when it comes down to knowledge, he knows way more than almost every pro possible. So it depends on who you're following, but some of them will know a lot more than the actual pros, because some of the pros just follow their coaching plans. And even like a coach, like if I was going to compete, I would hire another coach because it actually is better because you're seeing an outside perspective. Right.
It's kind of like you need someone.
Yeah.
It's that same thought we all have when we're watching like Michael Jordan be coached by like Phil Jackson.
Yeah.
You're like, how come?
Why are you listening to him? You're Michael Jordan.
Yeah, but you need a little bit of outside perspective.
Exactly.
Do comedians get outside perspective? I guess the laughs, right?
The laughs, yeah. But actually, it's the most outside perspective art possible, because you're literally getting instant right off the bat.
I think you get it with the laughs, but I guess some people like maybe trusted come up and say, hey, that was funny, or why don't you try this? So we get a little bit of
there's definitely comics who are like, oh, I got a tag for you, this and that.
Yeah. Are you receptive to that when you get a tag?
Oh, yeah. Do I use it all the time? No. I've gotten some.
Nor should you.
You know, it's great. I've gotten some really good ones that just wouldn't work for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like there was a comic, I won't say his name, but he's a great writer, writes on TV, gave me a tag, but it's very him. And I was like, that's great. But if I said that, it would just feel like, where did that come from?
Did you try it or you just knew?
I tried once.
Yeah.
On a Zoom show. And even on Zoom, it bombed. And I'm like, you know what?
Well, maybe it needs a real life try.
It just felt not like, you just find your voice, and other voices sometimes, even if it's great, just can't work for you.
Yeah. Same with me. Like I work clean. I have darkish leaning material, but I don't swear.
Yeah.
And it just that for some reason I never got. It's kind of like what I like to do, but also I have sworn a couple of times, and everyone's like, "We
doesn't feel like you."
It doesn't feel like me, and they're like, "We don't want that from you."
Yeah.
You can kind of tell they're like, "No, don't do that."
Exactly. Yeah. I think everybody, once you find that thing that's your voice, like anything outside of that is just like, yeah, that's funny. But if it's not coming from your voice, it's just gonna feel fake.
Yeah.
You know?
And I am kind of like chill and not that dynamic in terms of my voice and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, maybe I should be more dynamic and more. And I started kind of going down that route a bit. And then like a couple weeks ago, I was just like, let me like not do that and lean back.
Yeah.
And it now I'm at the best place ever with that. I was like, I was trying to basically improve my weaknesses, and I still think I should.
Yeah.
But also I was like, wait, I need to also be more of myself. And that's really been a bit of a breakthrough for me personally. Yeah,
I remember when I first like started, this guy opened for was like, you're a big guy, you should be walking around the stage, controlling the stage. Yeah. And I tried that, and I'm like, I felt like intimidating to the crowd, and I didn't like it at all.
You don't need to. You're already intimidating.
Yeah, that's why I like
you can just chill.
I like to just sit in the pocket and tell jokes.
Yeah.
Because I don't need to be in. I'm too big to be getting in people's faces.
Why does Nick get arrested on every show? Well, long story.
Like no one wants me leaning in like Eliza, like with my triceps flexed. Like, you know what I'm saying? You know?
It's like, oh, the guns,
brother.
Your co-host and you have the what's your co-host's name?
Logan,
and I'll edit that out. Logan and you have that great podcast. How did you guys meet and decide that you're the right team for a podcast?
We met at doing mics out here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like over that summer when you moved?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because when I first moved here, all you could really do was just outdoor open mic comedy. There was not like shows, because shows would just be getting, like the health department would get called on it, and then it was just done. So yeah. I had to regress all the way back to the open mic scene, which was a stake in my heart, which sucked because I haven't done mics in years. And then having to do them again, I actually met some pretty cool people. And he was one of the first like fit, like Jack, because like he was even bigger before. And he was like one of the first people that I was like, oh, another like fit comedian.
Okay.
I met him like when I first moved out here. So I was like, oh, great. So it took us a while to even realize we should do a podcast. But then after a while, I'm like, why are there so many people in the fitness, like YouTubing thing that aren't that funny, who are pretending to be funny?
Oh, I've seen that. I'm like, whoa, don't do that.
Yeah. And I'm like, I actually know enough about fitness and know how to be funny. I'm like, why haven't we there's no one doing this.
When you guys did the artwork, which is you guys kind of like arm wrestling, were there any revisions? Like, nah, he looks a little bigger than me.
No, he sent it to me, and I was like, I don't like that your arm is bigger than mine, but it's a cool picture.
Did he make it?
No,
Logan?
It was some kid in Italy, actually.
Oh, okay.
Some little Italian
Logan's
kid.
like, what do you think of this?
He's like, I love it. And I'm like, I don't know how I feel about it.
You didn't make him change it? You just left it?
I thought the picture was so cool that I'm like, just keep it, whatever.
Yeah. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you guys have a good dynamic and flow, and it's hard to find someone you vibe with in terms of wanting to do it every week.
Yeah, like I played with the idea of doing it by myself, but then I realized it's going to be like, when you're in the gym and you're by yourself and you're like, I don't have to do another set. I know I wouldn't hold myself accountable. So I needed someone who's going to keep me accountable and me hold him accountable. Yeah,
even with this podcast, like I never missed one for 109 episodes, and then I took like 1 week off for the holidays, and then then it became 2, then it became 3. You're like,
it becomes easy.
It becomes the same momentum, and that's the same with working out.
Yeah,
the same momentum you have can, once it's broken, the reverse momentum.
Yeah, do you know how easy it is when I'm by myself to not do squats? So easy to not do squats. Yeah, but then when I have someone with me, I'm like, fine, I'll do it. That's why during the pandemic I had a gym partner that was with me, because I was helping train him, and we were just working out at one of the only gyms that was open the whole time. And having someone with me, I had to force him to do legs. That means I got to do them too.
You don't like doing legs?
I love doing legs. I hate doing squats.
Why squats?
they just you hurt for days afterwards.
Yeah,
always.
You do. Yeah,
you never get used to how you feel.
My leg day was 2 days ago, and I'm still kind of like.
Yeah, the second day is actually the worst.
Do you work out every day?
No, 5 days a week.
Yeah, I go every day, and I don't, because I'm like kind of like I need to keep the cycle up, and it's something I look forward to every day.
If you're enjoying it, that's great. But at the same time, if you overwork, it actually is not great for actually gaining muscle.
Yeah, I've heard that, and so part of me like wants to take a break. But I'm very good at cycling through and not.
If you took 1 day a week
off,
yeah, just completely nothing. It's actually better for your muscles to have that rest day than to not at all.
And I'm about to go on vacation, so maybe I'm about to have 7 days off.
Oh, there you go.
It's probably not the best either.
Where are you going?
To Michigan.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And do you have a gym that's like, what gym do you go to?
I go to, I have the weight set right there.
Okay.
And then I go to my friend Sam's apartments.
Okay.
They have a gym that like no one uses.
Really?
And it's awesome. Yeah.
That's actually what I use right now. My apartment building, that's the reason why I chose this building.
Which building is it?
It's in Koreatown.
Okay.
And my gym actually is so good that I'm like, I looked at it when we were looking at apartments, me and my girlfriend. I'm like, I really like this place a lot just because the gym was great.
The gym is great. And it's always like I'm the one or one more person in there. I'm like, oh, this is way better.
My gym's, and it's 24/7 and it's like 50 steps away from my apartment. So I'm like, this is perfect.
So I go there once a week to do the squats and the cable, like anything I don't have. But I've actually been pretty good with a dumbbell. I have like 10s through 45s.
Yeah, you got some good ones over there.
And I got that Flybird bench. And then it's been good. I enjoy doing it. And the fact that I can walk in here for 35 minutes, 40
Isn't
minutes,
it great?
and like be done. I used to go to LA Fitness and it was fine, but like you can't find a place.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's using the same equipment. The in and out's 20 minutes. The whole thing's an hour and a half now to 2 hours.
And then the driving, all that.
Yeah, it was still pretty close, but it's like then you're like, all right, so now I can't go to my next. I gotta go home and shower. You can't shower at LA Fitness. I don't care. It's gross.
No, it's gross.
You can shower at Equinox.
You can because they got the keels, everything.
It's all clean. It just feels cleaner.
Yeah.
You can't shower at LA Fitness.
No, it's gross.
It's gross. And but then I just couldn't renew my membership there, and I hate gym membership people. They're just the worst.
Terrible people.
They'll
try everything to not let you even leave too. The 2 gyms that I've had gym memberships to though, like that was the same thing. Like I'd be there forever. Like my favorite gym I've ever been to was like Star Fitness in the Bronx was great because I used to work out like Victor Martinez, who's literally one of the best bodybuilders ever, Marco Rivera, all the top bodybuilders in New York would be in that gym, which was great. But my favorite was when I lived at my dad's house when he moved upstate, and there was a Gold's Gym with an actual movie theater for cardio in there. So like there'd be movie times and you'd see what movie was playing and what days, and you'd be like, this is great. Like Rocky's playing this day in a movie theater, but instead of a movie theater with seats, it was all treadmills and bikes and stuff like that.
Was it like was it like ring, 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 ring?
No, it was very silent. Like you could barely hear the other people. Like it was actual movie theater volume, and it was pretty big like room too. So like I'd be in there for 3 hours because I'm like, I just found Lord of the Rings is on, so I'm gonna watch that.
That is such a good idea, and I can't believe that's not.
It was it was called the Cardio Cinema. It was amazing. It was one of the best things ever because you'd look forward to cardio, but if the movie sucked, you're like, nah, let's go on the regular machines.
Cardio cinema.
Yeah,
that needs to be a thing.
I'm surprised it's not.
Talk about Shark Tank.
Yeah,
the mirror and cardio in the locker. You have the mirror that shows your. Maybe it was like a picture of you before, so you can see your progress.
Yeah,
because I started doing that. I was like, I don't like. I get the body dysmorphia thing because I'm like, oh. I'm like, have I seen any progress? It never feels like you've made any progress.
You'll never by just looking in the mirror.
And then you got to go look at an old photo and you're like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, because in the mirror, you always look the same, no matter what.
Yeah.
That's why I always like my clients I work with, I'm like, take a before picture because you're going to look in the mirror every day and you're going to be like, oh, nothing's happening. But if you look back to those pictures from 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, you're like, oh, wow, I lost a lot, Yeah.
Because some people come up to me and be like, oh, your face is so different. And I'm like, it was Mike Falzone. I'm like, how? He's like, yeah, it's different. It's like more angular.
Yeah.
I was like, it is?
Yeah, you don't notice it until you look at pictures.
Yeah. And I'm like, I guess it is. I don't know. Do you train your co-host? No. Or does he already know enough? You're like...
He knows a pretty good amount.
Do you ever like disagree? You're like, no.
No, he started doing
8 milligrams. You're like, no, it's 7. Amino acids.
We've definitely disagreed on some things, but he actually just started doing my workout split, and he said it's the best workout split he's done so far, which is because I've figured out after 18 years of lifting weights, I figured out what works the best. Like for me, for detail.
Like your daily split?
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
So day one is chest and biceps. And people always hear that and they're like, why not chest and triceps? Here's why. So when you're doing chest, you're also activating your triceps. When you're doing back, you're also activating your biceps. So I do chest and bis, back and tris, because then you could actually put more effort into that secondary muscle. So if you're doing back and bis, by the time you got to biceps, your arms are already kind of shot from doing pull downs. And, so why not use that muscle that hasn't been activated the whole workout and be able to put more detail into it?
Yeah, because a lot of chest and bench and stuff, it's like, it is a lot of muscle groups.
Yeah, because when you're doing bench, it's your chest and your triceps. Every press is chest and triceps. Every pull, you're using your biceps. So I do chest and bis, back and tris, shoulders and core, and then legs by themselves.
What do you think about this push pull? Like when people are like, you should do your
Some
push
people
and
love
pull.
it. Some people love that.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. It wasn't for me. I think it's great because you could hit more body parts a week. Like you could hit the body part like twice a week. And I still do that for the most part. There's only usually, each body part will get hit twice a week, but it's different muscles each week because I do a 5-day cycle. So say I did chest and bis on Monday, my 5th day I'm back on chest and bis again. And then next week I'll be hitting back and tris twice a week.
Stretch before or after?
If I stretch, it's after, but I usually just do foam rollers afterwards. I never stretch before.
I have a foam roller. I don't even I'm like, it doesn't do anything. I'm like,
really?
I don't know what to do with it.
I roll. You just make sure you don't ever go lower than the middle of your back because you're never supposed to do it on the bottom of your spine because that's not the part. Your upper back is the part that it rotates. Your lower back doesn't. So if you're rolling out on the lower back, you could actually mess your back up. So you want to do upper back and then on the lats. I always do it on the lats, on the legs after I do legs.
Yeah, I've seen some people kind of splayed and using it on their legs.
Yeah.
That's what you do?
It's almost like a massage, like a deep tissue massage.
Yeah, they're always enjoying it. I'm like, what is happening?
It feels great. I love it. But never before. You never want to, stretching before working out, like actual weights, is not a great idea because you don't want loose, warm muscles pushing or pulling heavy because that's when you could actually get more injured if you're actually too loose.
That's what I've heard. Yeah, so stretching is always afterwards. But you should warm up a little bit.
Yeah. But I do stretching, but like the foam roller is my favorite. I love it.
I do a little bit of yoga. I do like a little upward dog, a little sun.
Do you? I've actually thought about getting into yoga because I'm big into meditating and I'm like, why not mix the stretching and the meditating into the same thing?
Your whole life is going to be self-improvement. If you do meditation, yoga,
I
working
meditate
out,
twice a day, every day.
Writing jokes.
Yeah.
How much do you write every day? Because your jokes are very well written, I have to say.
I'm a weird writer. The way I write is strange because the punchline, I'm like, I don't know if it's dyslexia or something like that, but the punchline comes to my head first and then I'll be like, that's funny. And I'm like, all right, now I got to build the story around it.
Oh, you're like Inception. You like kind of go backwards.
Yeah, I have to go backwards. I can never sit there with the pen and paper and be like, all right, how do I find this punchline for this thing? Because for me, that just never works. That's why it's a little harder for me to write as fast because it's like I can't just sit down and write. Like I'll for some reason my brain will get bombarded with ideas of punchlines throughout the day. So like at least once a day, something will come to me. I'm like, oh, that'll be a perfect punchline.
Like, give me an example, because I work the opposite way. That this is fascinating.
My girlfriend, the joke about my girlfriend and how Latina girls argue came to me because one day my girlfriend was just yelling at me she's a Latina girl at such a fast speed. It sounded like an AK-47. And I'm like, oh, and while she's yelling at me, I'm like, one sec. And I wrote down Latina girls argue AK-47.
That could be the premise though, too.
It could. Yeah.
So that could just be like what you're saying. It's like you're saying like that could be your starting point and then you go somewhere else.
The AK-47, because in my head she's yelling at me and it sounded like a fucking assault rifle.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, it's like a AK-47. And I'm like, oh, this is how Latina girls argue when they get mad. And that just built the joke right there.
Yeah. So it's not that different from, I think I just probably, if I had that thought, I would be like, all right, that's where I start. That would be my opening line.
Yeah.
And then I would kind of add and add and add and add.
See, I start backwards. Yeah. So I'm like, it's just the same thing, but in the reverse order.
Reverse order.
Yeah.
Oh, I might try that today on my writing hour just for fun.
That's my favorite way to do it. Just because I'm like, all right, I already know the funny part. How do I throw them off the scent of this to bring them to this?
Right, because then you actually have more freedom in a way.
Because then you're like, if you think of the punchline first, then it's easier to think of what's the twist to get them to be shocked by what you just said.
Yeah, because there is a great mathematician that says invert, always invert. Like if you get stuck on something, a math problem, invert it. And that's the similar, and comedy is math in a way.
It is, yeah.
And so you're inverting and you're getting rid of one of the biggest pressure things, which is like, I need the punchline. Like how many times have we seen people be like, I'll come up with a better punch for that.
Yeah. Like that for me, it's like, I need to come up with a better setup. That's always me coming up with so once I figure that out, then my next process is, how do I set this up without pissing people off and also throwing them off enough where when it hits this punchline, it's a shock. Yeah.
In terms of, are there fitness people you look up to? In terms of like, hey, this is the guy who's like, kind of like a comic, because people are like, this guy's really doing well. I like what he's doing.
I love Victor Martinez is a friend of mine, and I always looked up to him because I think he's had the best physique in regular bodybuilding. Him, classic physique, always Arnold and Chris Bumstead now. And then when it comes to like knowledgeability, I'd say Derek from More Plates, More Dates and Greg Doucette.
Okay, I just like I saw he was just on Rogan.
And he's younger than me, which is crazy. I had no idea he was in his 27 years old, 28 years old.
So he does like a fitness lifestyle podcast, or I'm not really familiar with him. I just saw the title.
He's not considered I don't think he went to school for it, but when it comes down to the chemistry and the breakdown, all the way down to the molecular level of everything from muscle growth to hair regeneration, there's no one who knows more than him. It's crazy how much he knows.
So he's built a huge following, I'm sure.
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely.
Is that a path you want to go down?
No, he's too technical for me. Like, I like to just be funny.
Yeah, but like in terms of like following, like, do you post videos of you working out?
I used to, but I'd rather just post like the podcast. I just love posting clips from, just because it's like, we're getting into like how to do things, but we're trying to make it funny so people actually want to learn how to do it.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense, because then it's like your brand is funny first.
Exactly. Yeah, because it's like, because so many of these things are so easy to do, but it sounds so boring that you think, oh, do I want to learn the laws of thermodynamics? But if you learn it's just calories in, calories out, and this is how you do it, and make it funny, people actually listen.
Yeah, totally. Well, this has been great. I really enjoyed having you on. I think we went down a lot of fitness stuff, but I've been so into it that I'm just excited to have, because like you're probably in a world where you talk to people about it, right?
This is regular talk. Yeah.
This is regular talk. Like I have nobody. I talked to Maddie about it, and like that's it.
He's in good shape too.
Yeah. He's been very good shape, and we talk about stuff like this. But it's like, generally speaking,
comics not so much.
Yeah, and I think that's also, it is something you think about, because like your image on stage, like you can have no thought into it, which is a thought in itself.
Yeah.
But what you project on stage is like how people see you and relate to you and your jokes and stuff like that. Like I had longer hair. I wasn't quite as long as Logan's, but it was getting there.
You had that long hair?
It was like here.
Oh, damn.
And it was getting too long. I felt like I was doing like this, a lot of this. And I'm like, I don't want to be...
The pretty boy stuff?
Yeah, I was like flipping my hair and like tucking behind my ear. I'm like, this is getting in the way of my being on stage.
Yeah,
I had to make a decision there. And I think a lot of people are like, well, I don't need to get buff. I'm funny, and I don't want it to be that. But I like that like Kumail got buff, and like people that are like, being in shape is not as taboo. I don't know if taboo, but like kind of like what you're saying, it's not as like, oh, instantly make fun of anymore. It's kind of like aspirational.
Yeah.
In the same way that like people are getting their teeth fixed like crazy now, because what did they do? They spent the last 2 years looking at themselves on Zoom.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh, my teeth are jacked up.
I got some jacked up teeth.
Let's go to get Invisalign. And all this stuff, everyone's on Instagram, everyone's using their phones, and I feel like everyone's kind of like, all right, well, I should be in shape, I should look good. And we're all forward-facing brands, whether we like it or not. So why not be healthy and in shape?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, tell us where to find you. Give us the socials for you and the pod.
So for everything like regular socials, it's at Not Nick Simmons. And for the podcast, it's Sets and Reps Podcast. And we're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all that. But if you want to watch the videos, go to YouTube.
Can I give you unsolicited advice?
Sure.
Take off the knot.
I tried. Well, there's so many Nick Simmons.
Beast Nick Simmons 12. I'll tell you why. Because when you're trying to tag someone in something, it's impossible to find.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. So anytime anyone has like the or not, it's like I'll type NIC and you won't show up.
You know what it was? When over the pandemic, I was trying to figure out a clever name. And then I had a bunch of memes that I made go like super viral, getting tens of millions of likes. And I'm like, oh, people already know that this is me now.
You're like,
now
I have tens of millions of likes.
Yeah.
So
I need
advice not taken.
No, like, because just certain meme pages were constantly posting mine. And I'm like, I don't want people to find that meme and then be like, oh, this guy doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. That's a good point as well. But just as someone who's like tags a lot of people and stuff, I'm like, oh, the people who like, I skip that person. But whatever.
I get it.
All right. Thanks again.
Thank you for having me, man.